The mother sold her blind daughter to the director. But that night turned out to be completely different from what everyone thought. She didn't remember who she was, only a difficult childhood. Blindness and a necklace with pendants of the sun and moon were her only thread to the past. When a rich family appears in her life, promising a new destiny, she doesn't suspect that she will become a pawn in someone else's game. Ridicule, betrayal, loss of a child. But the truth will find a way out, because behind every sun there is a shadow, and the moon always returns. Emily didn't remember her mother. Not her face, not her voice, not even her touch. Her earliest memories began with the damp floor of the Detroit orphanage, the clatter of dishes in the dining room, and Mrs. Hanks's stern voice. All she had was a name, blindness since she was 3, and an old necklace with sun and moon pendants. Her fingers remembered every crack in those pendants. When she was 21, government assistance ended. There was little work for a blind orphan, even in charities. She lived in a tiny room in a home for the poor, scraping by with small earnings. Her life was quiet, inexpressive, and almost unnoticeable. So a call from a stranger changed everything. "Emily Grace?" asked a voice with a clear Eastern accent. "My name is Alan Courtney. I represent the Harris family law firm. We are looking for a girl who meets one very important requirement. We are interested in your profile. Would you like to come to New York and discuss the offer?" She thought it was a joke, but the ticket was paid for. The escort met her right at the train, and the car took her to a long white mansion in the suburbs. "It smells like roses in here," she said as she entered. "Yes, Mrs. Harris likes fresh flowers," the driver responded. The house was large, airy, with soft carpets. Emily could hear something rustling in the distance, either curtains in the wind or the rustle of expensive fabric. "Please come upstairs," said another voice, female and cold. "Mr. Harris is waiting for you." The library smelled of leather and coffee. The man's voice sounded elderly. "Emily, right?" he said. "I need to ask you some questions. Please sit down." She sat down. "You don't have a family?" "No." "Have you ever taken a DNA test?" "No." "Your necklace. Do you know where it comes from?" "No. It was on me from the very beginning." Silence. Then, "Good. We need you to stay with us for a while. You will have a room, food, and a servant. Do you agree?" "Why do you need me?" "We'll tell you later. Right now, just rest." The room was huge. Emily was lying on a bed for the first time in her life, where the sheets smelled fresh, not dusty. The bathroom was like in the movies, and there was a man standing at the door, ready to help her at any moment. She heard someone arguing downstairs, a woman with a sharp voice, and a man whose voice made her heart clench. He was rude, but there was pain in his words. Then silence. At that moment, the door opened. "Emily?" someone said. "Yes?" "My name is Nick. I'm—" Pause. "Your fiancé." She thought she had misheard. "Sorry?" "Your parents decided that you would become part of the family. Officially. I'm 28. I have to get married. That's part of the agreement." "I don't understand." "And you don't need to. You just need to do your part." He left. She remained sitting on the bed, clutching the moon pendant in her hand. The next day, she was taken to a tailor, then to a notary. 2 days later, she stood in the small living room of the mansion in a white dress while someone read the vows. Nick did not take her hand. He hardly spoke. Only one woman, who called herself Grace, whispered in her ear, "You're not Sonny. and you never will be." Emily didn't know who Sonny was, but for some reason, those words sent a chill down her spine. The evening after the wedding, she overheard their conversation again. "Are you crazy, Nick?" Grace screamed. "She's a nobody. You promised you'd wait for Sonny." "Sonny won't come back. She's dead. Everyone says so." "And you believed her? You took a blind beggar instead." "Shut up. Do you think that if she wears this necklace, she will become your girl from the past? It's a pity to look at." Emily stood around the corner, pressed against the wall, her heart pounding too loudly. Later, alone, she spent a long time fingering the pendants. The sun and the moon. What did it mean? Why did they react to her like that? Who was Sonny? Why was Nick looking through her? And most importantly, what is she doing in this house, where everything seems too beautiful to be true? The morning after the wedding, Emily woke up to an empty bed. Nick had never appeared in their room. There was a clean, clearly new dress hanging in the closet. Everything from the ironed seams to the price tag screamed that it was not for her. Someone left breakfast on the nightstand. Tea, fruit, and 2 white eggs. Everything was neat and emotionless. No one came. The days passed like this. She was rarely taken out of her room. Occasionally, the elderly housekeeper would come in, May, a soft woman with a husky voice. Only she spoke to Emily in earnest. The others, the servants, the cooks, the guards, avoided her. "Aren't you asking why they're keeping me here?" May said one day, adjusting the blanket. "Will you tell me?" Emily answered quietly. She sighed. "I don't know the whole truth, but something's wrong here. Be careful, dear." One evening, Nick finally entered their bedroom. Emily was sitting by the window. "Why are you here?" she asked without turning around. "Because my father demands it. Because you have the right image, blind, without a family. Convenient. Is that all I am to you?" He came closer. You could hear him take a deep breath, then the sound of a bottle being poured with whiskey. "I don't care who you were. It's all a sham. I had to get married to get my share of the inheritance. And you fit in. And this is normal? To use a person for money?" He chuckled. "What did you expect? A fairy tale? Love at first sight?" She fell silent. Then she said quietly, "I expected honesty, not love, not affection, just not lies." Nick didn't answer. A week later, she was told she was being taken to a reception, an informal dinner at the home of the Harris family. May helped her into her dress. In the car, she sat next to Grace. "Smile when you need to. Be quiet if you don't know what to say," she whispered. "I'm not stupid." "No, you're just in the wrong place," Grace said sarcastically. The evening passed in a fog, a multitude of voices, smells, rustling fabric. Emily smiled and nodded as she had been taught. Someone shook her hand. Someone whispered to the side, "Is that her? Poor thing. She looks strange." After dinner, she was taken to the study where Mr. and Mrs. Harris were waiting. "We want you to get used to the role, Emily," the head of the family said. "Your job is to be there for Nick, to bring him peace, maybe have a baby. Then he'll settle down. And if not, then you'll still stay in the family. We'll take care of you. Believe me, it's more than you had." A month later, Emily found out she was pregnant. She heard about it from a doctor who was called straight to the mansion. Nick stood nearby, silent. Then he just left. May hugged her. the only person who sincerely smiled at what had happened. That night, for the first time, Emily felt hope. Things would change. Maybe the baby would be a bridge. Maybe he would make Nick see her differently. She tried to talk to him. She knocked on his office door. "I'm not asking for love," she said, "but you will become a father. It's not a duty. It's a person." Nick exhaled and sat up. "I have no words for you. I didn't ask for a child. This is your life, your choice. You really don't want to know who I am? Where I'm from? Why do I have this necklace? It doesn't matter." "And Sunny, did she have one?" He froze. His voice became sharp. "Don't say that name." "Why?" He stood up. His voice was icy. "Because you are not her." Emily couldn't sleep that night. Her whole body was shaking. She felt like the room was spinning. She was panicking, like she was being strangled from the inside. The next morning, she woke up in a hospital bed. Only May was by her side. "I'm sorry, darling," she whispered. "You lost the baby." Nick didn't come. Grace looked into the room, not with sympathy, but with a grin. "You know what I think?" she whispered, leaning toward Emily. "Maybe it's for the best. One marriage of convenience is a mistake. And a child? No. You don't fit into this family. You never will." Emily turned to the wall. In the evening, when the pain had subsided a little, Thomas, the gardener, came to see her. He rarely spoke, but he was kind. He put down a thermos of tea and quietly said, "You hold on. All this is not about you. Just hold on." She rose with difficulty, felt the necklace on her chest. The silver sun was warm from her body. The moon was cold. The child was gone. Hope, too. But suddenly an image appeared in her memory, someone's voice, a child's, a man's. "Amy, you'll be the sun, and I'll be the moon. We'll always be there, even if we don't see each other." She grabbed the memory like a life preserver. It was there, real. Somewhere in there was the truth, and maybe love. Real. After leaving the hospital, Emily never returned to her old room. May moved her to the west wing of the mansion, away from Nick, away from Grace, away from the constant whispers and phone conversations that suddenly stopped when she entered the room. "It's quieter here," May explained, "and there's hardly any light coming in, so you can rest." But Emily didn't need rest anymore. She needed answers. In the evenings, she sat for a long time by the window, listening to the wind rustling the leaves. Sometimes she heard Nick's steps, recognizable by their rhythm and weight. But he did not approach, as if they had signed an unspoken agreement. She would not interfere in his life. He would not interfere in her loneliness. One day, a couple of weeks later, May brought her an old box. "It was among your things, found in the closet. I thought you should see it." Emily felt the box, the wood, the cracks, the coating wearing away under her fingers. Inside were letters. The handwriting was foreign, but one of the envelopes had a familiar scent, faint, almost imperceptible, but exactly like the scent of her necklace as a child, a mix of lavender and vanilla. The letter began simply, "To my Santa, from Dad." She froze. "This is not mine," she whispered. "I know," May replied, "but the smell matches, and the box was hidden in a box with your things, Emily. Are you sure you don't know this person?" She shook her head. She didn't sleep that night. Her thoughts revolved around the letter, the smell, the memory of a child's voice. You will be the sun, and I will be the moon. She felt the necklace again. The pendants were unique, not factory-made. Perhaps they were custom-made? The next morning she asked May, "Help me find out where this necklace is from." The old woman thought, "I have a friend in an antique shop. She can find the roots of the strangest things. I'll talk to her." 2 days later, the answer came. May returned excited. "This master, he lived in Boston. He made jewelry only to order, and the sun and moon pendants are a special design. In the database, he found only one such order." "To whom?" "Arthur West, billionaire. His daughter—" May hesitated. "His daughter Savannah was kidnapped at age 3. She was never found." Emily wasn't breathing. Everything inside her was turning over. Savannah. This. Yes. Her nickname was Sunny. Later in the evening, she quietly went down to the library. Thomas, the gardener, was working there. He was not surprised to see her, as if he had been expecting her. "What do you know about this family?" she asked. "Enough. What do you want to know?" "Grace. Where did she come from?" "5 years ago. Nick saved her, they said. She had lost her memory, claimed her name was Sunny, and the Harrises took her in. Nick was different then. Softer. He believed he had found the same girl he had been friends with as a child. And now? Now. He knows that Grace is not the one. But admitting a mistake means destroying everything. What if I am real?" Thomas looked at her. "Then you are in danger." Emily knew this was a twist. She had to tread carefully. She asked May to find a way to do a DNA test, secretly, and surprisingly, May agreed. "I know where to get material from your side," she said. "Hair from a comb, and from the West family. I have an old contact. Give me a couple of days." Emily was afraid to hope, but something was already changing inside. Not just a dream, not just pain. It was a feeling of return. Slow, quiet, like sunrise through fog. At the same time, Grace began to show unusual activity. She would come into Emily's room under the pretext of politeness. She would give things, ask strange questions. Sometimes she would try to touch the necklace. "Where did you get it?" she asked one day in a choked voice. "I've had it since childhood." "That's weird," Grace replied. "Sunny wore something similar. Only I think she had a pendant with her initials engraved on it. You don't have them." "Are you sure?" "Absolutely." But as soon as Grace left, Emily felt the back of the moon pendant again, and found a tiny letter, almost erased, but legible. S.W. Savannah West. The response from the laboratory came a week later. May brought it late in the evening, with trembling hands. "The result is positive. There is a 99% probability that you are Arthur West's daughter. Savannah." Emily was silent. Then she slowly took off the necklace and placed it on her palm. "So I'm Sunny. And Grace." She raised her head. "Knew everything." May nodded. "I think it's clear now why you're here. Why you were chosen. You're back. But not the way they wanted." That same night, Emily heard Nick's voice again. He was talking on the phone downstairs, loudly, nervously. "If she really is Sunny, then everything we've done—" "Oh my God. This is a disaster. I married her because I thought she was convenient. What if she's real?" He fell silent. Then he added, "She will never forgive me." never. And Emily, standing behind the wall, felt for the first time that this was only the beginning. Emily was no longer hiding. After the DNA test was confirmed, something changed in her. For the first time in a long time, she felt confident. It wasn't bravado, but rather a quietness inside, a calmness, as if the shattered past was slowly beginning to come together into a clear line. She no longer felt like a guest in this house. This was her home, by right of blood, by the fact of the life taken from her many years ago. The next morning, she went to the Harris's office, alone, uninvited, unannounced. The guard at the door was confused, but let her through. "I need to talk," she said sternly, feeling the sunlight from the window hitting her face. "With both of you." Mr. and Mrs. Harris exchanged glances. "We're busy," he said coldly. "Then free yourself. This concerns your son, and your lies." The room fell silent. "I know who I am," Emily continued. "Savannah West. My mother died when I was a baby. My father is Arthur West. I was kidnapped from the hospital, and you knew, or guessed." "That's absurd," Mrs. Harris quickly intervened. "Grace is your legal daughter. She's been through hell. She was found with amnesia. We helped her recover. Grace deceived you, or maybe not you." "Only you?" Harris looked at Emily silently, then said slowly, "Do you understand what you are saying?" "Very clear. I passed the test. May helped. I have the result. You needed a convenient option, while your real Sonny took her place. And I am real. Only I don't need your confession. I already know." She turned and walked out. An hour later, Grace burst into her room. "You won't prove anything!" Her voice broke into a shriek. "It's all too late! They believe me! Nick is mine!" Emily raised her head calmly. "The truth doesn't require proof if it's facts. You never had a necklace. You never had a single confirmed memory. Only stories. Made up. And you believed yourself. You were the one who believed that you could replace me. I'm not replacing anyone. I'm returning what's mine. But you're a stranger, and that will soon become obvious to everyone." Grace lunged forward, but Emily didn't retreat. Her hands weren't shaking now. She was no longer blind and defenseless. The next day, a representative of the West family arrived at the mansion. A lawyer named Sloan. He handed over an official letter. The demand: an independent examination of Emily Grace Harris's personality. Nick was forced to be present during the conversation. "You knew," Emily said. "Somewhere inside, you knew." He couldn't look her in the eye. "I didn't want to. I was afraid that if you were her, then So you betrayed her, didn't you? Only I am she." "I made a mistake," he said quietly. "It's not a mistake, Nick. It's a choice. You chose convenience, a lie, and then a woman who pretended to be me. I was a kid when Sonny disappeared. I blamed myself. When Grace showed up, she said she remembered me. She wore a necklace like mine. I wanted it to be her. Is that why you married me? To convince yourself that you were forgiven?" "No," he said quietly. "I married you because you were defenseless. I needed to make it look decent. I'm a coward." He fell silent. Then he added, "But now I see you, and I know that you are not the blind one I neglected. You are her, the one I loved as a child. But you have the right to hate me." A week later, tests confirmed everything officially. The press was already starting to ask questions. West's lawyers demanded a full report. Who had carried out the kidnapping? Who had forged Grace's documents? Who had accepted her as a restored daughter? An internal investigation has begun. Grace disappeared for 2 days. Then she returned, shattered, with a summons to court and a charge of fraud. "You ruined everything," she told Emily the last time they met. "I could have been anyone, but you took it all." "I didn't take anything. I just came for what was mine. Nick would have loved me if it weren't for you. He loved Sunny, and you were never her." When everything had calmed down, the West family invited Emily into their home. She went. There she was met by her father, Arthur, an elderly man, dry, but with eyes that immediately lit up with a spark of recognition. "You look like your mother," he said. They sat in the garden for a long time, silent. And then he said, "I've waited my whole life for you to come back one day. But when you were 5, I almost lost hope. No one believed. Only I knew you were alive. Somewhere. Anywhere." "I lived," she replied. "Just not the way I should have." He took her hand, and for the first time in years, she didn't feel lost. Later, at the Harris house, Nick approached her. "Are you leaving?" "Yes. To Boston. Dad suggested that I take a course of vision restoration, an operation. There is a chance that it will work." "I'm glad." "Why are you here?" "'Cause I want to say, I don't ask for forgiveness. I want to earn it. Not for love, for trust. If you ever want to forgive me, I'll be there. Not as a husband. Just like that boy who once promised he'd be the moon." Emily didn't answer right away. "I remember that day. We were sitting under a tree. I was 3. You gave me this necklace. You really were the moon." He smiled. For the first time, not with bitterness, but with hope. The operation took a month. The recovery was long. Pain, drops, light, too bright, harsh, alien. But one morning she opened her eyes and saw. The first thing she saw was her father's face, then the reflection in the mirror, and only then the necklace, the sun and the moon. It lay on the pillow, all the same. Only now she was looking at him for real. Now there is the last chapter left. Spring in Boston was quiet and cool. Emily saw trees, sky, streets, and faces for the first time in years. At first, she was frightened by reflections, traffic, and the noise of people. But with each passing day, she grew more and more aware of reality, as if she were returning not only to her body, but to life itself. Her father insisted that she live with him. The house was spacious, with high ceilings and a library where everything smelled of leather and time. It was different here than at the Harrises. No one pretended. No one whispered behind her back. No one slipped documents to sign under beautiful pretexts. Here she was a daughter, without conditions. "You have everything ahead of you," Arthur said. "Study, work, your own business, whatever. Just don't be afraid." She nodded, although the fear was still there. It didn't go away right away. It lived somewhere between her heart and her memory. A letter arrived in the mail, Penome. The handwriting was sloppy, but familiar. "I don't know how to say it right, but you said you only wanted the truth. So here it is. I still think of you. Not as the girl I lost, but as the woman I betrayed. If you ever want to come back to the garden by that tree, I'll be waiting. Just to talk. Nick." She put the letter in the box and forgot about it for 2 weeks. Meanwhile, Grace's trial began. The media relished the details. Identity fraud, an attempt to defraud a large family, suspicion of involvement in the kidnapping of Savannah West. There was no evidence of the kidnapping itself, but Grace's role as a fraud was obvious. She remained silent. She did not admit guilt. She did not ask for forgiveness. Emily didn't come to the meeting. She didn't want to look at the past through the lens of pain anymore. Everything that needed to be said, she had already said. The day she went to the bookstore alone for the first time, the phone rang. "Miss West? This is Dr. Bain. We have good news. Your vision is stable, and your recovery is progressing without any problems. You can live your life without limitations. Congratulations." She hung up and laughed, for the first time, out of pure happiness. Nick's letter was lying on the table again. Garden, tree, memory. In the evening she got on the train, without calling, without warning. The Harris mansion looked different, quieter, darker. Business had gone downhill after the scandal. Nick had left the board. Grace was under house arrest until her sentencing. The Harrises had stopped hosting parties. The house no longer exuded power, only regret. The garden was empty. The tree stood in the center, spreading its branches as it once had. Emily walked up and stopped. The wind swayed the grass, and then she heard footsteps. "You came," Nick said. He stood in the same place, slightly to the left of the tree, just like when they were children. Only now without certainty, just with quiet expectation. "I didn't come for you," she said. "I came for us, for who we were. I remember that girl, with the sunny hair and the necklace. You saved me when I was afraid of the dark, and then I became that darkness myself. And now you expect me to forgive you? No. I want to earn it, not by promise, by action, by time, by loyalty. I don't know what will become, Nick. I've just started living, anew. I can't promise I'll come back. I can't promise I'll forgive. But I'm here. This is a beginning." He nodded, a shadow of a smile appearing on his face. "I'll wait." She came closer. She took the necklace in her hands, took it off. She handed it to him. "Put it on, but not like in childhood, but as a sign that we both have changed." He fastened the chain around her neck with trembling hands. The sun and the moon were united again. Emily didn't know where this conversation, this day, this chance would lead them, but for the first time in years, she felt like it was real. No lies, no games, no fear, only choice. She is Savannah West, the girl who was kidnapped, the woman who came back. And if love really was, it will survive everything, even blindness, even betrayal, even time.